Detective Comics, issue number 27. And this came out in 1939. So this is the first iteration of Batman. And you may be wondering, why the hell am I doing this? Well, if you guys saw my Bad Kitty video, basically comic books are kind of garbage right now. So I'm kind of just rating old stuff and figuring, I'll review those. So I'm kind of doing like really retro stuff, like first iterations of popular characters, as well as basically first issues of comics that I enjoyed. So I did Bad Kitty, and I'm gonna be doing a couple of others. So why Detective Comics? Well, I figured Detective Comics 1000 is actually going to be coming out soon. So why not do the very first comic that featured the Batman? So yeah, let's do this. 10 cents. 10 cents for a comic. That may seem cheap now, but I mean 10 cents back then was a lot of money, I think. I don't know. I've been watching old Columbo TV series, and it's kind of funny. Like, there's like stuff where like basically a guy will give him like $10 to get gas, and Columbo was like $10. Oh my god! Like I can't take that kind of money. And I'm like, really? So then I actually looked up how much $10 cost back in the day, and it's like $50. So yeah. I wonder how much 10 cents is worth in 1939. I don't know. But yeah, this is the Batman, the case of the chemical syndicates. So before I actually discuss this story, I will say this. As a huge fan of The Shadow, let's just throw it right out there. This story, Batman's very first story, is basically a ripoff from a Shadow story. Anyone who wants to read that, basically look up Partners of Peril by Walter B. Gibson. He's done like a lot of the Shadow stuff. Awesome author. I really like him. But yeah, basically the case of the Chemical Syndicate, it's pretty much a ripoff of the Shadow's Partners of Peril. So I highly recommend that. But let's just get into this. So we start with Bruce Wayne having a chat with his buddy Commissioner Gordon. And I don't know, I always found this kind of funny. Like, why is Bruce Wayne such good friends with Commissioner Gordon? Like, at least I care. I don't know, because Bruce Wayne is known as like, he's a young socialite. Why would he be friends with an old police commissioner? But they're basically just chatting it up, and Commissioner Gordon gets a call about a Lambert's being killed. He was stabbed to death, and the cops are there, and basically they have his son. They're holding his son because they found his son's fingerprints on the knife. So, Commissioner Gordon's going to go to Lambert's house to, deal with that situation, and he decides to invite Bruce Wayne, and Bruce Wayne says, "Sure, I got nothing else to do." I don't know why cops would invite a young socialite to a murder scene, but there we go. So Commissioner Gordon arrives. I'm not gonna blur out. I was thinking blurring out the text, but I'm like, come on, like this is a comic from 1939, and I'm not gonna be showing everything. In fact, I'm gonna be showing just a few panels. So hopefully I don't get hit by a copyright strike. If I do, that'll be very crazy. But yeah. So they arrive at the Lambert house, where they see his son, and basically his son kind of explains what happened. He arrived home to find his dad with a knife in his back and a figure jumping out the window, but he couldn't see who it was. So he goes to his dad and pulls the knife out his back. That's where the fingerprints come from. And his dad mentions something about a contract before he dies. And as he's explaining the story, they get a call from Crane. And basically, we get Commissioner Gordon asking, was your father in business with anyone? He says he was in business with a Stryker, Rogers, and Crane. And then Crane calls, and basically Crane is like upset because he received a threat on his life. Basically, Lambert received a call that was basically from an anonymous threat, and now he's dead. So now Crane receives a threat from an anonymous call, so he's scared that he's going to be the one that's offed. So Commissioner Gordon basically goes on his way to go check out Crane. Meanwhile, Batman says, or Bruce Wayne kind of says, you know what, I'm going to go home. But we all know, he's the Batman. So he actually uses it as an excuse to basically dress as Batman, and then he goes and checks out Crane's house, and he finds Crane dead, and he sees two men escaping with a piece of paper. So Batman stops them, and he punches one of them out, and he throws the other one off the roof, and presumably kills them. Yeah, one thing you will know about the old Batman is that he had no qualms with killing people. In fact, I believe the old Batman actually used pistols at some point. He was basically modeled after the Shadow. Anyone who doesn't know who the Shadow is, he's one of the coolest comic book characters of all time. Pretty big pulp character. There was comics made out of it. But he started off as a radio dramas. He started off as a host for like an anthology radio drama series, and then he eventually became his own character with his own series. And there was a bunch of radio dramas with him. And oh my God, what's his name? Orson B. Welles actually voiced him at one point. And then there was like comics made out of it. I believe there was like merchandise, like board games and stuff. But there's comics. There was the dime novels. But yeah, he basically Batman pretty much ripped off of him. The Shadow basically goes by Lamont Cranston, and he is a young socialite pretty much. He's what they describe as a young man about town. He's basically a young wealthy man who uses his money and his connections to help fight crime in secret under the disguise of the Shadow. In fact, one of the names he went by was I believe the Dark Knight. I don't know if it was specifically the Dark Knight or the Night of the Dark. He basically he used the word Dark and Night as one of his nicknames. That's like one of the names that Walter B. Gibson used for him, and then of course Batman kind of took it. He wore a trench coat, and his trench coat in some of the novels are described as like fluttering around like bat wings. Again, Batman with his cape and the bat wings. I mean, this story is basically a ripoff of Partners in Peril. So he used to use dual pistols, and then Batman, I believe, used dual pistols. He doesn't use them here, but I believe in future issues he does. Batman is basically a ripoff of the Shadow. Let's just throw that out there. So anyways, Batman had no qualms about killing people, and I'm presuming he killed this guy because, I mean, he threw him off a roof of a building. So, well, it was like a 2-story house. But he grabs a piece of paper, and then he reads it in his back car, which is just a regular car. I wish I had that panel because it's actually kind of funny. You just see Batman and just basically like an old classic car, which that's bright red, and he's just kind of like reading it with a big smile on his face. So basically, Batman, there was no Batmobile. So just picture you're driving around and you look over, out your window, and you see a sedan next to you with a caped crusader dressed in it. That's pretty much Batman back in the day. We get Rogers, who's one of the guys. Remember, there was Rogers, Stryker, Crane, and Lambert. Lambert is dead. Crane is dead. And then Rogers goes to visit Stryker. And as soon as he arrives, Stryker's assistant, Jennings, hits him in the back of the head with a club. And then he puts them in this room where basically a giant glass is going to come down and gas him to death, and he's basically going to be euthanized. Yeah, I believe he used these for like animals or something. Basically, this guy has a gas chamber in his house. Don't ask me why, but he does. So, yeah, maybe that was a thing back in the 1930s. Maybe everyone kind of had gas chambers in their house. Does this take place in Germany? Stryker's assistant Jennings clubs Rogers, throws him in here, is about to put this tube on him, and Batman goes in and the glass gets on top of him and starts gassing them, and then Batman breaks it open with a wrench. And basically, during this, what happened is we kind of figure out what's going on. Basically, all these men are partners of Apex Chemical Corporation, and there was like a deal made where Stryker would pay the other guy's money over time until eventually he owned the business. He wanted the Apex for himself, so he was paying these three off, and it was just kind of one of those where like, well, you know, you make like monthly or weekly or whatever installments until eventually you take full control of the business. But he didn't want to wait anymore, so he decided to bump everybody off. But I guess he didn't expect a man in a bat costume to foil his plans. So Batman attacks Jennings and beats him up while Rogers confronts Stryker. And Stryker is about to stab Rogers when the Batman grabs his hand, knocks the knife out, and then I don't know if I actually save it. Yeah. So Batman explains the whole plan to Rogers that I just kind of explained. As he's explaining the plan, Stryker pulls out a gun. Batman punches him, and then he falls into a vault of acid. Because that's another thing that people have in their houses. They have gas chambers and they have vats of acid. It's just a regular thing, you know. In the 1930s, everyone kind of had them. It's just the way life was back then. So Batman kills another guy, and that was Detective Comics. Well, that's one issue of one story in this issue of Detective Comics. That's the very first appearance of Batman. Basically a copy of a Shadow series, a Shadow story. But yeah, good nonetheless. But yeah, it's kind of interesting to like read some of these and just, I don't know. I love reading retro comics, just one, because it gives me a good idea of like the lifestyle and just the world that, you know, that was like the 1930s, 40s, 50s. I don't know. It's kind of just funny, just like seeing, not funny, but it's interesting seeing their fashion, what they do, like, you know, their lifestyle. Some of their, like, one thing I really love is reading, about reading old comics is the trash talking and like the slang from back then. It's just very, very humorous and stuff like that. But yeah, I love reading some of these retro stuff. But yeah, it's also kind of interesting to see how Batman just kind of evolves. He went from someone who wasn't very like melodramatic and had no qualms with like killing people and stuff like that to the character that we all know today. But yeah, there we go. Batman's first appearance, Detective Comics number 27, came out in 1939. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. Tell me what you guys think. Would you guys want more retro stuff like this? Let me know if you guys do. I will be completely happy doing them because, like I said, I love reading retro comics. If there's any retro comics you guys recommend, I'll see if I can track them down. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. If you guys haven't already, please subscribe, hit the bell for notification. Feel free to leave a like if you enjoyed the video. Comment down below. Share this with your friends, family, like other people within the comic book, like other comic book friends and stuff like that. If you guys could, because I'm trying to grow this channel, trying to hit 400 subscribers by the end of the year. Hopefully we can make it. But I hope you guys enjoyed. If you guys want more of these kind of videos, let me know. Because like I've said in previous videos, I'm struggling to find some good recent comics nowadays. Comic book industry is kind of dying right now. So it's really at like its worst point, I think. So finding good stuff is very hard. So I could start doing more of these retro stuff. Might switch over to doing more manga because I'm enjoying manga a lot. I mean, I've always enjoyed manga, but manga, it's not hard to find good stuff. Whereas comics, it is, in my opinion. Well, let me know. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will catch you guys next time. Later.